So when I was in Afghanistan, I had a good friend who would take photos of his legs each time we went out. And the reason being was that he would take this photo and then sort of half joking, sort of probably a little bit of seriousness there about how if we got blown up or he came back without his legs after that mission, then at least he had a photo to remember what his legs used to look like or how things were when he had his legs. And we kind of used to joke about it. We used to use a little bit of dark humour when we're going out or when we're going out on these patrols or missions around the fact that when we came back, things may have changed. So we may have gone through some trauma, we may have experienced something where things are just no longer going to be the same again. So when we were going on these missions, we used to pack a day pack with all our valuables, all our belongings, anything that we thought we needed in case we were blown up or shot or we got injured and we had to be evacuated to one of the hospitals that were located out of country. But when we're packing these bags, there's a subconscious awareness, or it's impossible to not be aware of the fact that when you leave that day or when you go out that morning or that evening or that night or whenever it might be, is that you may not be coming home. And if you're not coming home or you're not coming back to there, you're going to be taken to a hospital or a trauma centre where things have changed. Life is no longer going to be the same for you. But the reality is that you may be patrolling along and then the next thing you know is you wake up inside a hospital and you're missing limbs or you've been shot or you've been seriously wounded and the rest of your life has now changed. And you have to be able to be comfortable with this fact. So when we do go through trauma or when we do go through change or even when we're confronted with adversity or challenge, like even when we think about the scenario we're in or we're just coming out of at the moment with sort of a global pandemic, the people that are able to move forward, are able to evolve and adapt, they're the people that have let go of how things were yesterday. So basically they've let go of the fact that they had legs yesterday, today they don't have legs. So they've got to make the changes within their life to now move forward with their current situation. So if we spend time worrying about what we had yesterday or we try and hang on to our past, then we're never going to actually accept the situation that we're in. And we're never going to move forward and start to look at what opportunities we now have or now how we adapt and evolve to our situation and how we go and proceed with our life, getting the most out of it that we can with the current situation or what we currently have now. So it's this ability to be flexible in the way we approach things, to accept that things have changed. And if we resist change and we try and hold on to how things were in the past, then we're never going to move forward because we're only ever going to be worried about how things were and what we've lost. And the reality is that if something's changed, it's changed. We may never be able to get that back again. So we need to understand that, yes, things were this way, something's happened, now things are a different way. Now we need to look at how we now work within our environment with what we now have. So it's this ability to be flexible, to be able to accept change, not resist it, and then move forward. Because if we fail to resist change or accept a new situation, then we're never going to see the information because we filter the information within our environment based on how we see things, whether we see ourselves as someone who has gone through change or we're a victim of something or things aren't as good as they used to be, then we just look for information around confirming that. Where if we accept, you know what, now I'm going to move forward, I'm going to do something better, or I'm going to change the way I do things, then we look for the information that supports that. And there's plenty of examples of veterans who have gone through this, and I'll use the veterans as an example, who've gone through major disruption and change and then have gone off and won Olympic gold. They've gone off, started their own businesses. They've gone off and been quite successful because they've allowed change to happen and they've accommodated that change and now making the most of what they can with what they have. And in a lot of circumstances, some of them actually live better lives because they now understand and they've now come to terms with just how resilience, mental strength and life works, and they take things and they no longer take things for granted. So if you want to improve your resilience, one of the things that you need to be able to do is to be flexible in the way that you accept change. Because as I said, if you resist change, you're never going to be able to move forward, and that's going to create a lot of mental anguish just on the fact that you're hanging on to a past that is no longer a reality. So I hope that kind of helps with something to think about, start to understand whether you're hanging on to your past and whether that's the barrier to you changing and being resilient and having mental strength, or whether you have the flexibility to accept your new situation and make the most of that. So hopefully that gives you something to think about, and hopefully if you're not flexible enough, you can start to work out how to be more flexible. Okay, accepting change is not always going to be easy, but it's necessary if we want to move forward and live the life that we want.